Welcome to It's the Economy. India and the United States are racing against time to conclude an interim trade agreement before July 9th, when the full reciprocal tariffs are supposed to kick in. President Donald Trump recently told reporters that India and US will soon strike a deal with much less tariffs. Now, just listen to that bit.
I think we're going to have a deal with India, possibly. And that's going to be a different kind of a deal. It's going to be a deal where we're able to go in and compete. Right now, India doesn't accept anybody in. I think India is going to do that. And if they do that, we're going to have a deal for much less tariffs.
Okay, now just note the last three words, much less tariffs, indicate there could also be a deal with something more than 10% tariffs, but less than the 26 plus 10, 36% tariffs. So how will the various combinations of tariffs impact India? I have with me Mr. Srivastava Ganapathi, the Vice Chairman and Managing Director of Gokaldas Exports, and Ajay Srivastava, the founder and head of Global Trade Research Initiative, a trade expert. Gentlemen, thank you very much indeed for your time. If I can start with you, Mr. Srivastava, what have you made of this first statement itself, that there could be a deal? Are you reading this as a likelihood of a tariff between 10 and 36? By the way, I believe it is 36. It would be 10 plus 26.
So it's 26. It's not 10 plus 26. It's 26 or 10. So basically, they want 10% as their base tariff. That's a new zero for the US. And they say their MFN tariff, the normal tariff which US or India charges on the imports, they will remain there. And 26%, they will be kind enough to cut 26%, not charge 26% and charge only 10%. So Indian goods going to the US, if FTA is concluded, then they will be paying MFN tariffs, existing MFN tariffs, plus 10%. For example, for many of the garments, say tariffs range between 8% to 20%. So those tariffs will continue. In addition, 10% more will be there from the US side. In return, India will be cutting all MFN tariffs except on agriculture and dairy, maybe.
Okay. Mr. Srivastava, good morning, and thank you very much for, agreeing to speak on this. I know it's speculative, but assuming we strike a deal and it is 10%, what exactly will be the tariff on your products on apparels, and how competitive will they be?
So currently we have the tariff, which, as Ajay Srivastava said, ranging, approximating about 15 to 18% on an average for the goods that we send. And then there is a 10% tariff on top of it. I think if that status quo remains, what is relevant for India is what's the relative tariff. So there is a bunch of countries which are exporting to United States, ranging from China, Vietnam, Bangladesh, India, to several more countries. So it all depends on relative tariff as to how our competitive landscape will be. We also need to know whether it's 10% or even higher, the incremental tariff. So that also needs to be seen. So if I look at the markets, I feel that the US market with tariff will have some stress in terms of rise in prices. And we could, we will have to see how that impacts demand. But having said that, if India does have a differential tariff, which is advantageous for us, then that will be great from a sourcing standpoint. We will see much more sourcing shift to India. So we'll have to wait and see, what happens to us, as well as what happens to other countries.
Yeah, so we will just in a minute run the rival countries. Am I right in guessing that Vietnam gets 46? Am I right in guessing that our major competitors are Vietnam, Sri Lanka, Bangladesh, Philippines and China? Would that be the main competitors, Mr. Srivastava, in your area?
By and large, apart from China, of course. But
apart from China. And they also are in for much higher tariffs, even as a base case. And all these other countries, comparable countries that you spoke about, Vietnam, Sri Lanka, Bangladesh, are, going to face higher tariffs. So do you think Indian apparel exporters, at least, are going to face stress, maybe because consumers will buy less at a higher price, but you're not losing the market to competition.
You could say that by and large, but we also need to know, the 46% that you mentioned about Vietnam, that may or may not be the final tariff for them. They are also negotiating with the United States, and there is a likelihood that that may come down for them. But then again, no one knows. So we have to wait and see where that one lands as well. So as long as I maintain that, as long as India has a relative tariff advantage, we will be better off as far as United States market is concerned.
The chatter, Mr. Srivastava, appears to be more with Britain, EU, India and Japan. I have not heard too many statements from Donald Trump or his secretaries on any other country. So should we expect, as Mr. Sivaramakrishnan fears, that something positive can come even with Bangladesh, Vietnam, etc., especially Vietnam?
So US is currently negotiating with more than 20 countries. And we have to be very clear, these are not the normal FTA negotiations. In an FTA negotiations, both the sides, they cut their MFN tariffs. In this case, US doesn't want to touch their MFN tariffs. So, for example, they already have an FTA with Vietnam in which they have agreed to zero tariffs on garments from Vietnam. But now they are threatening them with higher tariffs and renegotiating. So these are some other kind of negotiations in which US is calling shots. We have to be very cautious. But I am discussing with my friends in 3-4 countries. So things are not moving ahead. For example, Japan, US doesn't want to cut tariffs on Japanese cars. So Japanese is not moving ahead. Europe also is not moving ahead. Vietnam is trying. They have offered many things despite having an FTA in which US already agreed zero tariffs, but still things are in limbo. So apart from India, I don't see anybody has got at the advanced stage where we can say next few days we may have a deal or no deal. All others are in between. That means these negotiations may have to go beyond July 8 deadlines.
Okay. What are you expecting as a base case on July 9th? Never mind if it is speculative, Mr. Srivastava. We are all working with speculations.
Yeah, thanks. So there is nothing from the official side. We are hearing from various sources, India and US, is that India has shown red lines for agriculture, dairy and GMO foods. And in return, India says that give us something. For example, at least lower MFN tariffs on our labor-intensive goods like garments, textiles, leather, handicrafts, etc., so that we have something to show to our domestic audience that we got something else. The deal will be one-sided. So I think US will understand this. If India-US deal doesn't go through, the US whole bogey of this Liberation Day tariff will fall flat. They could not get any other country to sign on the deal except for the UK. We don't have the full details about the UK deal also. So if India deal doesn't happen, US position will be weakened. I think they will understand, they are intelligent people, and there may be a deal with India.
Okay. Yeah, we are working with the baseline that they are intelligent people and will not shoot themselves in the leg. But, they've been bigger bullies than we thought. Mr. Sivaramakrishnan, what is the base case you are working with? Again, very speculative, but we have to work with something.
Base case is status quo. So underlying tariff remains and 10% continues. Because I don't think it's practical to see conclusion of trade deal by July 8th. There are several countries to be, deals with several countries to be closed. So there could be a possibility that this will just get extended. So we are working with that as a base case at the moment.
They will extend the deal. I mean, there is already the taco trade happening. Trump always chickens out trade, and the administration is aware of it. So a lock, stock and barrel repetition of the April 9th postponement to July 9th and from July 9th to another date may be not politically acceptable to the US presidency, to to his committee. So what do you think, Mr. Srivastava? You think he will be able to announce an India deal and then status quo on others? Or will it be more? Because it very much matters to people like Mr. Sivaramakrishnan what understanding happens with the other countries.
If deal happens, what Mr. Sivaramakrishnan tells, that position will continue. If this deal doesn't happen, then 10% will become 26% plus MFN of 18, 20, 25, whatever we say. That's the thing. So I think US realizes all these things. It should be important for them to get India on board for the deal. Else they will look very weak before the world.
Okay. What is your sense about which of our products could be in danger? I mean, I don't think we are hurt by Harley Davidson or the various alcohols, the tariffs coming down. But I would assume that some products, like for instance, corn, cotton, soybeans, are what some agricultural experts believe are vulnerable. What is your sense about where are India's vulnerabilities if we open the door?
So only 5% of US exports to India are agriculture and dairy products. I mean, less than 5%. 95% plus are industrial products. So we have no threat from the US if we open those 95%, which are industrial goods. But agriculture goods, agriculture is not a trade subject for us. Our productivity is low and it's a livelihood issue for half the population. So we cannot fiddle with agriculture. So I think agriculture and dairy remains India's red line. Everything else, we need not be scared of US. US is not present in most of the industrial goods space, unlike China. They are into very high-tech products, semiconductors and all those things. But rest, their exports are very weak and we need not afraid. There is no threat if we if we protect our agriculture and dairy. Then nothing else to be afraid of US.
Okay, well, they are fighting with Japan to open rice imports into that country. So I'm not sure how much how much we will be able to wrangle. Actually, the Indian position is also difficult because rice and wheat are procured by the government. I mean, farmers in a way are protected because anyway the government comes in and buys. How does that work? Will procurement have to stop? I mean, I guess it cannot.
So they are not only targeting tariff cuts, they are also targeting our MSP, our public stock.
Yeah, what they call non-tariff barriers.
I'll give you one example. If tariff protection is not there, like their rice and wheat are highly subsidized, and the farming is mechanized, and they overproduce many years, and the international prices they go down very low. So this happened with Africa. Africa, on the advice of some of the countries, they cut their MFN tariffs, and there was imports in Africa, and import were at such a lower price that African farmers could not sell. Next year, they stopped growing wheat and rice there, wheat and rice there, and there was nothing next year for African population to eat, and there was a famine. We don't want that to happen in India. So we say agriculture, we should keep in our mind very clearly, it's a red line. It's not a trade issue for us.
No, I agree with you, sir. I mean, for about 6 months, the Prime Minister tried to dare and stare down the farmers on just, the farm bills. Yes. And he couldn't. So it is politically impossible for India to sacrifice on agricultural tariffs. And I guess the US would know that. That is really a no-go area. Removing procurement is, I mean, it's a revolution on our hands, and that I don't think we are going in that direction. Just a final word, Mr. Ganapathi, Mr. Srivastava, what's the current status? Are you able to sell at 10% plus 18%?
We are able to sell, that 18% or whatever, that underlying tariff is always there. This 10% is incremental. We, of course, saw a degree of slowdown in order placement initially. And at the moment, brands who are buying from us are also unclear as to what would be the tariff post-July, from July 9th onwards. So they're also waiting to, take a final call on further order placements. But, we're still seeing a reasonable order flow. So I don't think that's slowing down at the moment. Okay.
I thought there would be extra order flow because, you want to buy ahead of a likely higher. No such trend.
We haven't seen that trend at the moment.
Either. Okay, all right. Well, we'll have to wait and see. It's only a week away, but it could be a very, very important week ahead. Mr. Srivastava and Mr. Ajay Srivastava, thank you very much for bringing whatever clarity we can get at a time like this. These are times when things change with a tweet. And therefore, we are just prepared with the numbers at this point in time to make a decision. We have to wrap up Monbazar on that note. Chartbusters after the break.